Alchemy Emperor of the Divine Tao Chapter 1, Rebirth. Yugua, Sanyin Town Lingjia, the moon passed. Ling Han spent a full 10 seconds, and finally confirmed that he really reborn. For a strong person in heaven and earth, it takes 10 seconds to confirm a thing. This is absolutely incredible, but it also proves how incredible things happen to him. In the previous life, he stood on the peak of Wudao, and he had unprecedented achievements on Dandao. The creation of the three fires technique triggered a revolution in the alchemy world and was revered as Dan Di. But he is not satisfied, but also wants to go further, to reach the legendary broken virtual world, to break the void, to become a god. To this end, he visited countless monuments and eventually entered the Black Blood Valley. After a lot of danger, he found a mysterious ancient tower. Did not let him down. The golden text appeared on the ancient pagoda. It is a supreme practice, called Invincible, the Book of Heaven. To the highest level, the body is not bad, immortal, coexist with the heavens and the earth, with the sun and the moon, same life. Even though the martial arts of Ling Hantian's humanity is still cultivated, it is still difficult to understand that this indestructible of the Book of Heaven is like reading a book of heaven, and there is no clue. He forcibly wrote down this practice. When he wanted to study the ancient tower was lightly shaken, releasing a boundless god, and instantly broke his body. But what is weird is that his soul did not dissipate, and he fell into a state of waking up, dreaming, which lasted for tens of thousands of years. During this 10,000 years, his soul has been trying to figure out the immortality of the Bible, except this he can't do anything else. After 10,000 years, he finally realized the first layer of this practice. A strong person in heaven and earth took 10,000 years to comprehend the first realm of a practice. What is this concept? It is necessary to know that the heavenly people are generally better than the Shouyuan, which is less than 1,000 years old. Normally, no one in the world can cultivate this immortal, because it has already died before it has begun. But Ling Han has mastered the first layer of the Invincible, the Book of Heaven, in this quirky way. Then he suddenly came alive and reborn in a 16-year-old boy who is also called Ling Han. Unbelievable. No matter what is going on, in short, I am alive. Although this body is only the repair of the second floor of the refining body, the waste material can no longer be scrapped, but I used to be a strong person in heaven and humanity. Standing on the top of the martial arts, it is also the master of Dan Dao. If you don't believe that, you can't return to the peak. And, I can finally cultivate the immortal scriptures. This is a supreme practice, may not be all in the world, but from the legendary gods, otherwise it may take 10,000 years to understand a heavy work method. In this world, I will be able to surpass my predecessors and achieve my throne. And, what happened to this body? When I was 16 years old, I practiced on the second floor of the refining body. Is it because the martial arts are too dying today? Boom, countless memories poured into my mind. This is another memory of Ling Han, the original owner of the body, and in this process, two completely different people are also merged together, regardless of each other. I understand. Ling Han nodded in his heart. The reason why he is now the second floor of the refining body is that his spiritual root is too bad. There is a prerequisite for wanting to become a warrior, that is, you must have a spiritual root. With the root of the spirit, we can absorb the aura between the heavens and the earth, quench our body, and turn into our own strength. Some Ling Gen absorbs the aura quickly, and some of the roots are slow. Therefore, the roots are divided into 4 major levels of heaven and earth. Each big grade is divided into upper, middle and lower 3 grades. The grade is the worst. The key to judging the merits of Ling Gen lies in the purity, the purer the better, and the Lingling spiritual root is the 5 elements, the most messy, which is the most inferior spiritual root in the martial arts world, counted as the yellow grade. All can only be said to be reluctant, so he is only 16 years old but only cultivated to the second floor of the refining body, and how his peers have reached the 4th and 5th floors of the refining body. The lingering cold of the past life is the Tianling root, and it is still the Zheoyang fire root of the heavenly top grade, plus the Dandao talent that no one can reach. With Dan Fuwu, it only took 200 years to reach the day. Humanity, this is a record of no one before. The 5 elements of the hybrid root, this is the lowest spiritual root. It is no wonder that although the predecessor worked hard, it only had the second layer of refining. In my case, although the 5 elements of the hybrid roots are a bit tricky, they are supplemented with medicinal herbs. For up to 400 years, I will definitely be able to return to the peak. What? Ling Han exclaimed in his heart, his face showed an unbelievable shocked expression. He stunned for a while, and revisited his own roots in Dantian with powerful soul. The shocked expression suddenly became ecstasy. This is not a 5-line hybrid root, the 5 elements are completely balanced, forming a Dao Lian. This is the 5 elements of Chaos Lotus, the best of the best, even rarer than the Jiuyang fire root, can be called the level root. The predecessor's cultivation is slow because God's spiritual roots need special exercises to achieve real power. And I have mastered a 5-line celestial power that matches the 5 elements of Chaos Lotus. 100 years. No, it only takes 50 years, I can regain the heavens. Rao is a cult of the world in the past, and he can't help but reveal the joy. The roots are born to be doomed, and the day after tomorrow cannot be changed. In the past, he has visited countless ancient monuments in order to break the illusion, and has obtained a lot of secrets and secrets. The 5 elements of heaven and earth is one of them. In the previous life, he stood at the peak of martial arts. In this world, he will create more glory and create immortal myths. How did the predecessor die? Ling Han turned his memory, and soon he showed his anger. Formerly the only son of the Lingjia family, Ling Dongxing, the mother, grandparents passed away very early. The Ling family is a family of martial arts. Every ethnic group is practicing martial arts, and it is also respected by Wu. What can Ling Dong behave as a homeowner? It is his strongest strength, played out. Because of the problem of Ling Zhen, Ling Han was regarded as a waste material from an early age, and he ate his eyes. In order to give his son a bright future, Ling Dongxing and Huyang College reached an agreement. Huyang College will recruit Ling Han to become a disciple, and cultivate it in full force. In exchange, Ling Dongxing will enter the Ziguangdi Valley. Looking for something lost for a long time ago for Huyang College. Huyang College was built by the Yugua dynasty. There are countless resources. If it is fully cultivated, then the people who waste the materials can also be promoted to Jiyuan. But the people at Huyang College can't be idiots. If that thing is good, how can they be willing to open such excellent conditions? The Purple Valley is dangerous. If you take a wrong step, you may lose your life. For the sake of your son, Ling Dongxing left without hesitation 7 days ago. Yesterday, people from Huyang College came and informed Lingjia that they would pick up people according to the agreement. At this time, Lingjia's deacon, Ling Zhongquan, ran over to discuss with his predecessor, asking him to give up this precious place and give his grandson Ling Muyun. The reason is that Ling Muyun is a genius and has an unlimited future. Such an opportunity cannot waste a waste material. The predecessor naturally will not agree, this is the opportunity for his father to exchange his life. However, Ling Zhongquan said that it was a consultation. In fact, it was only a notice of his predecessor. He did not take his opinion to heart. The predecessor couldn't bear to shoot, but Ling Chang is a strong person in the Yuan dynasty. One finger can suppress him. Is he an opponent? Just a punch, the front body was seriously injured, and then shut down in his room, apparently did not want him to mess up in front of the people of Huyang College. When the Lingdong line came back, it was already a boat. The fortune of the predecessor was so angry and dead. Ling Han snorted, it was really deceiving. The quota that his father had exchanged for his life was actually taken away by Ling Zhongquan. This is a shameless dog thing. Can't bear it. He climbed up from the bed and suddenly felt sore in his body. He lived alive, but the injury on his body would not be better than invincible. Well, Ling Zhen is still traumatized. Ling Han brow wrinkled, Ling Zhongquan's blow caused damage to his roots, and Ling Zhen suffered. This is a very troublesome thing, ordinary medical stone invalid. As far as I know, there are 7 kinds of remedies that can repair the roots, but the 4 materials needed are too expensive, so the whole Ling family can't be sold. And, my Ling Zhen is only affected. It is lightly invasive and does not require such advanced medicinal herbs. The 3 remaining, too need to be refined into Dan, so I am too reluctant to rebuild the second floor of the refining body. Then there is only one choice, Yuan Xin Fuling San, only need to proportionate the medicine cook the juice. First cure the injury, and then stop Ling Zhongqua grandson. Although I don't have this rare place, I can't let my father's life-changing opportunity be cheaper. This is a shameless grandson. He sat down on his knees and began to work, not killing the classics. This is the first time he has run this door, which may be a god-level exercise, but since it has been tried for tens of thousands of years, it is now extremely calm. Hey, his body suddenly has a strong vitality, the Yuan force is consumed a lot, but the injury is quickly recovered. In just a few minutes, he was already hurt. It doesn't mean that there is no immortality. I have just begun to cultivate and have such a miraculous effect. It is totally different from other exercises. The normal practice is to use Ling Zhen to transform the heaven and earth aura into Yuanli, but not the Tianjing. On the contrary, Yuanli will temper the body and heal the wound. After training to the highest level, it is not impossible to die. So you can call it the Book of Heaven. Unfortunately, the current level is not enough, otherwise I will be able to repair the roots with the immortality. Ling Han opened his eyes and looked at the sky widening outside the window, muttering, now, it will be a long time to go wide and the shameless old goods, give him a surprise. He put on his shoes, went to the door and hit it. Immediately, a tall figure appeared at the door to block his way. This person is called Zhang Yuan, one of Ling Heng's running dogs. Cold young master, the big deacon told you, you have to stay in the room today. Zhang Yuanshao smiled, the opposite of this person is the son of the owner, but it is notoriously waste material, in his eyes is a joke. Ling Han looked cold and said, do you dare to stop me? It's you who stopped, the deacon said, don't let Ling Han go to trouble today, if necessary, just slap on it. Zhang Yuanpi smiled and said, this is the command of the great deacon. Please ask the young master not to make me embarrassed. Ling Zhongquan's old dog is really cautious. He is still worried about being seriously injured. He also sent people to keep the door, and this can also be seen how important it is for Sun Yat-sen to enter Huyan College for Ling Zhongquan. When the hope is shattered, Ling Zhongquan's disappointment and irritability can be imagined. Get out. Ling cold and cold. Little master, this is big dash. Snapped. Ling Han raised his hand as a slap in the face, cold and cold, what are you, telling you not to roll? What, I was actually slapped by a waste material. Zhang Yuan couldn't believe in his face. This waste material dared to shoot him, and he hit it. Which is the joke? He was so angry that when he thought of Ling Zhongquan's words, he could start when he needed it. He couldn't help but die to the gallbladder. He said, Chen the young master, this is what you forced me dash. Snapped. Ling Han waved again and took a slap in the face. Alchemy Emperor of the Divine Tao Chapter 2, Strong. Zhang Yuan is going crazy, he actually got 2 slaps in a scrap. Under the wrath, he did not think about the slap in the second floor of the refining body. He immediately slammed the 4-layered man of his refining body, and immediately screamed and rushed toward Ling Han. He has only one thought now, and that is to smash this waste. He slammed out with a punch, full of strength, and a strong wind. Ling Ling is quiet and abnormal. In the past life, he can solve 10,000 Zhang Yuan with his natural bullets, but now he only has the strength of the second layer of refining. Some troubles, but only a few minor troubles. Now, after all, leading the body is the once powerful person, and the eyes are there. As long as Zhang Yuan lifts his hands and moves his feet, Ling Han can figure out where the fist will hit and where the footsteps will move. Therefore, when Zhang Yuan's punch hits, Ling Han has already made the reaction. This punch hit, Zhang Yuan could not help but reveal a touch of sneer, and when he was hit by a punch, the power of crushing the level will instantly let Ling Han lose his resistance, and he can only let him be full. Hit it. Okay. Zhang Yuan showed amazing color, because this punch seems to hit the face of Ling Han, but the actual is a slight difference. Ling Han promptly stepped back, just right to let this punch. Not more than 1 point, a lot of points, it seems to be accurately measured with a ruler, just stopped before the nose of Ling Han. It must be coincidental, Zhang Yuan said in his heart. At this moment, Ling Han slaps and waves again. Hey, the sound of the crisp and loud sound, Zhang Yuan slaps a solid slap. Damn! Zhang Yuan spit in his mouth, and after a loud bang, he punched again and punched Ling Han. Ling Han almost moved at the same time, the upper body leaned back, Zhang Yuan this punch once again hit an empty. He put his hands on the ground, kicked his right foot, and slammed it between Zhang's legs. Even if the 4 layers of the refining body, it is impossible to practice the iron egg function, and this kick is strong. Zhang Yuan suddenly hit the ground, his hands clasped his pants, his face oozing out of the beam. Cold sweat. Hello, you are insidious. Zhang Yuan twitched and said, the whole face has been twisted so fast that it is not adult. Snapped. Ling Han is a slap in the face, Zhang Yuan mouth, spit out several broken teeth. Ling Han naturally does not feel sympathy, said, the dog is a dog, and really can't spit out ivory. Zhang Yuan was furious. He was slap on the ground and was slap in the second floor of a refining body. What kind of humiliation? He wants to fight back, but the foot and the root of the roots directly disintegrates his resistance, and the egg hurts when he moves. But you must not let Ling Han break the good thing of Ling Zhongquan, otherwise he will not complete the task of the other party's confession. With a lenient personality, he will definitely be killed. Cold young master, you listen to me, you cannot leave here, in fact, you are poisoned, leaving this room will be poisoned and killed. He is in a hurry, how to leave Ling Han here? Ling Han could not help but laugh, this poor performance deceived him. He flew up and flew Zhang Yuanfei. Now he can't afford to waste time with this running dog. He must stop Ling Gong's mischief, otherwise his father's desperation is to make a wedding dress for others. As for Zhang Yuan, Ling Han naturally will not put this little person in his heart. Anyway, as long as he sees him appear, he will inevitably go to cure Zhang Yuan, and he does not need to dirty his hand. Don't go. Don't go. Zhang Yuan came from behind with a crying cry, and he seemed to have seen his miserable end. For the tiger, it's not worthy of sympathy. Ling Han strode forward. After a few minutes, he came to the inner door of the living room. Before he went in, he heard an old and loud voice coming from outside, Miss Lu, please, please. There are 2 doors inside and outside the living room, the inner door is next to the inner court, and the outer door is to the main entrance. Looking through the curtains, only one line of 5 people is coming in, 4 men and 1 woman. In addition to the woman, the 4 men know each other, they are all Lingjia people. One of them is a big deacon, and the other 3 are middle-aged people in their 40s. Son, and in the end is a teenager, a little older than Ling Han, that is Ling Changquan's grandson, Ling Muyun. Ling Han looked at the only woman, even though the eyes of his previous world were bright and bright, this woman is really beautiful, Zhou Shui is the of the moon, and it is also the age of 17 or 8. It has already had the moving style of blaming the country and the people. It's just that her expression is too cold, like an iceberg, repelling the proximity of anyone. This girl must be the person of Huyang College, it is really clever. Okay. Ling Han's pupil was slightly magnified, and he found a more clever thing, and his mouth could not help but reveal a smile. The 2 sides were seated by the host, and several maids served the fragrant tea and stood respectfully on the side of the 5. Can you get ready for the Lingjia to go to the college? Lu Yutong said, his voice was cold and pleasant, and there was a trace of disdain. What she hates most is the act of opening the back door. Although she was ordered to come, she did not like the future younger brother. Ready, ready. Ling Zhongquan said quickly, although his age is enough to be a girl's grandfather, but the realm of both sides is exactly the same, are all together. Wu has no children, and the strong is respected. Even Ling Zhongquan has a feeling that this girl's cultivation is even higher than him, he is 6 layers of Juyuan, and the girl may be 7 or even 8. This also made him more eager to send his grandson into Huyang College. In a few years, he will certainly be able to surpass Ling Dongxing in the realm and help him to grab the position of his family. Mu Yun, still don't come to see you Sister Lu. The old guy said back to Ling Muyun. Yes, Grandpa. Ling Muyun was very respectful, and arched his hand toward Lu Yutong. Mu Yun has seen Lu Shiji. His eyes are hot and full of enthusiasm for this beautiful and powerful beauty. He believes that as long as he can get along with more time, he will surely win the hearts of the people. Lu Yutong was slightly surprised. She remembered that Ling Jia's person who opened the back door was called Ling Han. However, this has something to do with her, she is only responsible for bringing people back to college. Since you are ready, let's go. She faintly said. Miss Lu, is it a few days in the cold room, so that we can talk about it? Ling Zhongquan quickly said, he wants to set up this girl, and he can take care of his grandson in the future. No. Lu Yutong refused indifference and turned away. Take a step for the time being. A voice sounded, and Ling Han also strode out. Ling Zhongquan's face is slightly changed, let them look down on Ling's waist, but now they are thieves, of course, the thief will be somewhat guilty. Cold brother, are you not hurting? Go back to the house and go to recuperation. Ling Muyun's reaction was extremely fast. He took a stroll to the side of Ling Han and reached out to grab the past. He wanted to stop the cold for the first time. Give the other party a chance to speak. He is the seventh floor of the refining body, and his strength is not comparable to that of Zhang Yuan. Alchemy Emperor of the Divine Tao Chapter 3, You are sick, I can cure. The refining environment is divided into 9 layers. Usually, 1 to 3 layers are called the pre-reform period, 4 to 6 layers are medium term, and 7 to 9 layers are late. The 3-stage warriors will have a big gap in strength. The higher the level, the greater the gap. For example, the 9 layers of the refining body have the advantage of crushing the 8 layers of the refining body, and the 1 layer of the refining body does not have such a disadvantage to the 2nd layer of the upper refining body. Before Ling Han seemed to be 2 layers lower than Zhang Yuan, but it was only a big stage, but Ling Muyun was the 7th layer of refining. For the later stage of refining, it was 2 higher than Ling Han. Stage. This is an insurmountable gap. Even if Ling Han is once a strong man, it is impossible to make up for such a big gap. After all, his foundation is too low. How to do? Ling Han's eyes were sharp, and he grabbed the other hand and grabbed it. Ling Muyun's face could not help but sneak a taunting color. Although he did not know how Ling Han came from, but the waste that Ling Jia knows well can cause him a threat. He runs the power, and the muscles in the chest position are immediately bulged. As dense as iron, what about hard eating? The focus now is to immediately stop the cold and not let him have a chance to speak. Sure enough. Ling Han's mouth showed a smile, and the reaction of the other party was in his expectation. You have to be heavy. Hey, because Ling Muyun doesn't evade, this punch suddenly hits a solid one. Ling Muyun is still with a taunting color, reaching out to Ling Han's shoulder, said, Chen brother, I will send you back, hee hee. The words have not finished, a blood spurted out, this is not finished yet. He only felt his chest boiling, as if he had to spit out all the internal organs. He suddenly sat down on the floor and his face became ugly. Ting ting ting, Ling Han also retired 7 steps, has been relying on the back of the wall to stop the pace. How is this going? Ling Han used a skill on the punch, called Shen Zhen Zhen, which can blow the force through the defense again. Therefore, although Ling Muyun was armed with force in the force, the punching power of Ling Han was separated. This layer of muscle blasted in his body, which naturally caused a great blow to Ling Muyun. This is also a loss of Ling Muyun is the 7 layers of refining, otherwise he will have to be hit hard by this punch, it is impossible to hang directly. Despising a formerly strong person, this is asking for trouble. However, the 7 layers of the refining body are 7 layers of refining, and the strength rebounds. This force is still far from the cold, so he was shocked and retreated. Under the shock of power, his right hand suddenly dislocated. Card, Ling Han brow does not wrinkle, the left hand is already twisted the right hand. Until then, Ling Zhongquan and other talents responded, not angry and shocked, the anger is that Ling Han actually injured Ling Muyun, the shock is that this guy is not a waste material, how can this be done? And a few maids are even more sturdy, this is still the cold master who they usually know, how can they be so fierce, and they will vomit blood to the genius known as the young master of the cloud. Small animals, you are so courageous, good heart. Ling Zhongquan immediately shouted, Mu Yun is just concerned about you, to send you back to the room, you actually put such awkward hand, you are crazy dog thing. Sure enough, the old man was very slippery and went straight to the fight. Ling Muyun also breathed a sigh of relief, looking at Ling Han, full of murderousness. He is Ling Jia's genius, but was actually hurt by a waist, which makes his self-esteem accepted. Ling Han did not pay attention to this pair of grandchildren, but looked at Lu Yutong and said, Girl, you are sick. This. Ling Zhongquan wanted to shoot, but when he heard this sentence, it was hard to suppress it. People are students of Huyang College, and Huyang College is run by the Yugua royal family. It is inevitable to have a strong background to enter the college, far exceeding the background of Juyuan. But Ling Han actually said that people are sick, isn't that looking for death? Very good, then I will pull in the Lingdong line and use the knife to kill people, he can easily sit in the position of the owner. Wonderful, 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 Lingdongsing, you never thought of it, your son is not only waste, but also a pot of goods. Lu Yutong looked at Ling Han, his eyes flashed a disgusting color. She was born too beautiful, and it is also the noble woman of Lu family in the 8th great family of the imperial city. Lu Jia is second only to the existence of the royal family. Naturally, there are many men who are competing with her, and some people are doing the opposite, pretending to be indifferent. Want to attract her attention. She naturally took Ling Han as such a fly, just by cursing the way. It was the first time it was encountered, but this did not make her feel any freshness, only disgust. Bold. Ling Zhongquan looked at the color and looked at it in a timely manner. I don't want to hurry down and apologize to Miss Lu. Ling Han smiled lightly and said, in this world, no one except the parents can let me kneel down. He walked over to Lu Yutong and stopped when he walked almost 3 steps away. Because he knows that this is the limit that the other party can tolerate. If you are close, the other party will definitely hurt. He didn't want to beat him. When you started from the age of 10, is it fainting every year for no reason? It was only once a year, but the frequency is getting higher and higher. Now, it should be fainted in 10 days. Only let Lu Yutong hear it alone. Lu Yutong couldn't help but change his face. Her problem is that only a few people in Lu's family know that why Ling Han can speak out. She couldn't help but look back at Ling Han and said, do you know the reason? Nature. Ling Han nodded proudly. If not, he would not speak amazingly. You are called Sanin, a curse of heaven. People who have 3 yin and yang can only live 20, because at the age of 20 you will never wake up after a fainting. Lu Yutong is silent, but he believes in Ling Han's words. Because after her symptoms became more and more serious, her family once took her to visit famous doctors. Although every doctor was helpless, even the name of the disease was not known, but according to a famous doctor, the frequency of her fainting will be more the higher you come, the more you will not sleep until one day. Now, she finally knows what disease she has, but what about it? All the famous doctors in Yugua are helpless, and of course she does not think about the cold. I can cure. At this moment, Ling Han said. Lu Yutong's heart trembled, but his face was quiet and said, if you can cure me, I can seal you as an official, or give you countless resources for cultivation. Ling Han Shou Yan Yixiao said, there is only one way to cure the 3 yin and maiden, that is to cultivate Sanin Xian Gong, and I just know this practice. I can teach you, but there is a condition, you do me followers. Lu Yutong couldn't help but anger. She is the noble woman of Lu's family. She is a martial genius. She reached the 8th floor of Juyuan at the age of 17. Now a small refining body on the 2nd floor actually said that she would accept her as a follower. What is the confidence and courage? Don't feel wronged, because I can give you a broader sky, let you embark on a higher peak of martial arts. 7 Jedi, 4 dead valleys, 3 big hanging seas, have you seen? Following the temptation, the 3 yin and yang are certainly cursed by the heavens and the earth, but there is no way to heaven. Such people usually have a spiritual root. As long as they cultivate Sanin Xian Gong, they will surely be able to fly. Lu Yutong couldn't help but feel the enthusiasm for her martial arts. This is the whole of her life. Alchemy Emperor of the Divine Tao Chapter 4, First Order. Although Lu Yutong is heartwarming, it is far from impossible to say that he promises to be a follower of Ling Han. She whispered her lips and said, "Change a condition." Ling Han smiled slightly and said, "You are now at the peak of the 8th floor of Juyuan. I will send you 2 sentences. It is my sincerity, Sanin Yangyuan, Defangtu, Sanhua Juding, Broken Ling." Lu Yutong didn't take it for granted. This guy is not only a second layer of refining, but also an amazing mouth. 80% is in the dark. But when she listened to these 2 words into the ear, the strength of physical strength could not help but move, as if the door of the 9-story building was opening. She couldn't help but move. Although she knew that she would break through the 9th floor of Juyuan, it should be a month later, but now she has a strong feeling. It only takes 1 day, no, even she can now retreat. Breakthrough. This is too exaggerated, just 2 words. This is the 2 sentences in the general outline of Sanin Xian Gong, how. Ling Han smiled. The next sentence, he raised his voice and said, "Be my follower, I will teach you the best." Puff. Ling Zhongquan was sprayed out and couldn't help but laugh. No, is there anything more funny than this? A waste in the district, actually want to accept the genius of Huyan College as a follower, and also said to teach the supreme power? This cow is really blowing the sky, and this daring is also fat to the home. Idiot is not self-sufficient, it makes people laugh. Several maids also hold their mouths. They certainly know the details of Ling Han. Just look at Ling Zhongquan and they know Lu Yutong's attitude. How noble is this woman's identity? Lu Yutong's slender hands can't help but tremble. Her heart is experiencing a fierce struggle, and she promises or refuses. The 2 thoughts are constantly intertwined. From a rational point of view, she is a genius of Lu Jiague, who is a genius with a spiritual root in the heavens. How can she be a follower of a small group of small people in the refining? But her heart is eager to move, seems to be urging her to promise. And Ling Han said that it is not a false statement to be able to cure her illness. Forget it, anyway, there is talent in the world, I don't want you to be one. Ling Han shook his head deliberately, turned and left. Slow. Lu Yutong finally made up his mind and grabbed the sleeves of Ling Han. I promise you. But for up to 3 years. After 3 years, she is 20 years old. If she doesn't sleep, then she will be completely free. Hey, Ling Zhongquan sprayed it again, but this time it was a strong shock and awkwardness. Didn't they have a problem with their ears? How could they seem to hear Lu Yutong's promise? Promise to be a follower of Ling Han. A waste of people. This must be wrong, absolutely. Ling Han turned back and showed a smile, raised his hand and said, "A word is fixed. If he can't conquer the other party in 3 years, then he is too defeated. Besides, he is only weak now, and needs a helper, such as dealing with Ling Zhongqua who is going to be angry and angry." Snapped. Lu Yutong also reached out and came to him with a pair of hands. This is the agreement of the military. A tender hand. In the high five with the other side, Ling Han could not help but sway, although he used to be the strong man of heaven and earth, it is the emperor of Dandao, the past life does not know how many beautiful women cast their arms, but now with the soul of the predecessor after the integration, it seems to be young and impulsive. The long-lost passion burns in the body, making him seem to have returned to the age of 16. Ling Han enjoys this change, which is the meaning of life. Miss Lu, don't listen to this little animal nonsense, we still say something right. Ling Zhongquan entangled, he did not want Ling Han and continue to mess. There is Zhang Yuan, it is a stupid thing, even a waste cannot be seen, go back and kill him. Grand Deacon, Ling looked coldly. The quota for going to Huyan College is what my father exchanged for life. Now my father is fighting in the Purple Valley, but you brazenly put this quota. Take away, don't you think your face is hot? Let's go, do you dare to talk to the old man? Lu Yutong did not put this matter in her heart before, but since she had already agreed with Ling Han, her attitude naturally changed. She said, "Ling Deacon, what is going on here? I need a confession." Ling Han's words can be regarded as not being heard, but Lu Yutong's words are not. People are representatives of Huyan College, and their own strength is above him. What qualifications does he have to use Lu Yutong's words as a whisper? He quickly said, "Things are like this. This son is the son of the cold family leader Ling Dongxing. Therefore, Ling Dong has acted with self-interest and privately gave this quota to this child. I just started from the overall situation and let this quota play a real role. A good one starts with the big picture." Ling Xiaoxiao laughed. "Ling Zhongquan, do you still have to shame? This quota is what my father exchanged for life. What does it have to do with the family? You need to worry about it. You just want to put this quota. The grandson handed over to himself will be overtaken by my father in the future, thus helping you to win the position of the homeowner. It is necessary to be a blind man, but also to set up a memorial archway, shameless, and shameless." Being stunned by Ling Han, the big cockroaches were so wide and violent that they were trembled, and almost all the old blood was sprayed out. "Small animals, how dare you dare to insult the old man?" Ling Zhongquan was full of anger. Actually, he was pointed at the nose by a waist. If he did not punish the cold, he would be angry with the internal injuries. Ling Han was only faint and laughed. Turning his head to Lu Yutong said, "I have no interest in entering Huyan College. This quota transaction is abolished, so that Huyan College can compensate for some elixir." "Yes." Lu Yutong nodded and tried to train a student. He also had to pay a lot of elixir. "No." Ling Zhongquan immediately shouted. "This place is Mu Yun, and you can't take it. Old dog, is there a problem with your ear? This is obviously the place that my father has exchanged. What is it with you?" Ling Han snorted, then looked at Lu Yutong, and said, "Next, I gave it to you. The first command." He paused and said, "Give me this old dog, I will take a few slaps of this shameless old goods." Lu Yutong just hesitated a little, then nodded and said, "Good." Ling Han has expressed sincerity and gave her 2 precious words, so she naturally has to show her sincerity. What, Lu Yutong really promised to be a follower of Ling Han? Followers sound very high, in fact, they are followers and descendants. What is the incredible thing about the genius of the Tangyang Huyan College, who is willing to be a follower to others? But the fact is that Lu Yutong has stood up, staring at Ling Zhongquan, and the graceful body has begun to radiate a strong war. "Sister Lu, you don't want to be blinded by this kid." Ling Muyan shouted on the side, his face full of shock. How cannot accept such a talented woman like Lu Yutong would be deceived by Ling Han's rhetoric. In particular, this stunning beauty is what he is trying to pursue, and now it is more like eating 10,000 flies, depressed to naught. "You are a shackle, or are you waiting for me?" Lu Yutong said faintly. Alchemy Emperor of the Divine Tao Chapter 5, Pain Old Dog. Lu Yutong has absolute self-confidence. She is an 8-layer of Juyuan, and Ling Zhongquan is only 6 layers of Juyuan. It is only 2 layers worse, but one is late in the gathering and one is in the middle, but it is a big stage. Ling Zhongquan was angry and shocked. "Miss Lu, do you really want to help this little animal? Old dog, clean mouth." Ling Han said on the side. "This is not to let Ling Zhongquan 4 people are mad, you have an old dog, but you want someone else to clean your mouth, really only the state officials set fire, do not allow the people to light. Too much." Ling Han faint smile, he is overbearing in how. In the past, he was known for his shortness of protection, and he did not help the pro in front of outsiders, he would certainly defend his own people. After that, he was shut down and studied. Ling Zhongqua's son and his son are so deceiving, he has to endure this breath and blame. Lu Yutong did not answer, but the delicate body jumped out in a fluttering manner. The hand was shot and pressed to the past. The whole person was like a fairy, without a trace of fire, it seemed to be dusty. There is absolutely no such feeling in Ling Zhongquan. The cold sweat on the forehead is already rolling down. He is in the middle of the gathering, but the other is the late stage. This is an insurmountable gap. However, Ling Zhongquan did not want to be slapped in the face of Ling Han, the younger generation, so he must fight back and escape if he is not good enough. Hey! He started the Lingjia schools, 3 flips and greeted Lu Yutong. This is a yellow-level Chinese martial arts and one of the 3 major schools of Lingjia. Lingjia is relying on these 3 schools to climb the 2 families of Canyin town. The power is naturally terrible. It is a pity that his opponent is Lu Yutong. Small folding plum hand. The iceberg beauty slammed, and the hand was lightly flipped, even with a point shot. The movement was elegant and indescribable, but the power was terrible. The hand was crossed, the heavy and wide can only step back, an old face become red. Small folding plum hand, yellow grade top martial arts. It is the suppression of martial arts and the suppression of martial arts. What is the advantage of Ling Zhongquan is his decades of combat experience. The problem is that Lu Yutong is a genius of martial arts. His experience is really insufficient. He has amazing understanding of the battle and can fully compensate for the lack of experience. How can Ling Zhongquan be unbeaten? After only 5 or 60 strokes, Ling Zhongquan was restrained, and Dantian was sealed. Yuan Li could not surpass, and it was harder than ordinary people. Grandfather. Father. Ling Muyun. 3 people are shouting, want to rush up, but they are also stunned by the strength of Lu Yutong, can only look at the cold and glare. They have no intention of introspection, only to feel that all this is the fault of Ling Han. If Ling Han does not appear, then things can develop in the desired direction. Ling Han looked at Lu Yutong and said, if you change the style of the shot a little, the combat power will be stronger. For example, when the 17th stroke, you only have to sink your right hand and the left hand is 2 inches before you can hold it. Opponent. Lu Yutong was first dissatisfied. She only thought that Ling Han had found a treasure house in the ancient times and got a number of high-level secrets. Only then can she make her own level loose by 2 sentences, and the breakthrough is imminent. But she recalled the previous battle, and she couldn't help but change her face. Because Ling Han said it was right, she just had to do it according to Ling Han, so that the battle can end faster. She couldn't help but apologize to Ling Hansheng, which was terrible. Ling Han laughed in his heart. Who is he? 10,000 years ago, the martial arts king, did not accept a little girl. He walked over to Ling Zhongquan and raised his right hand high. Small animals, you dare. Ling Li wide anger said, if he was slap in the face of Ling Han, then there is still a face to see people. Snapped. Ling Han did not hesitate to take a hand, and rewarded Ling Zhongquan with a heavy slap. Hiss. The Lingjia 3 and the 5 maids took a sigh of relief at the same time. They really smoked. They really got smoked. The deacon of the Tang family was actually slap in the face of a recognized waist. Oh, no wonder the old dog's face is very thick, my hands are hurting. Ling Han said. This is nature. The refining environment is to temper all parts of the body with the force of force, so that each muscle is full of strength, and when a fist is blown out and kicked out, a terrible force can erupt. Ling Zhongquan is already in the realm of the Yuan dynasty. He has gone through the complete stage of refining. Therefore, his face is naturally tempered by Yuan Li. The people in the middle of the refining body may not be hurt by his full efforts. He can only let him hurt and flow. Blood and the like must be injured with weapons. But now it is not a problem that hurts, but a shame. It was a shameful shame that I was slap in the 2nd floor of a refining body, and I was slap in the face of 5 maids. If you pass it out, what is the face of him? Ling Zhongquan's eyes were all spurting out the fire. He shouted, small animals, this is not the end of the matter, you will regret it, you will. Oh, it's stupid to threaten me in front of my followers. Ling Han sighed and said to Lu Yutong, someone threatens your master, what do you say? Lu Yutong is also a pretty little twitching, but she is a beautiful girl of Lu family. How can she adapt to being a follower of others? But she was still very trustworthy after all, and immediately said, do you need me to kill him? As soon as this was said, Ling Zhongquan's 2 sons and Ling Muyun were all shocked. Ling Zhongquan's main heart and support for the sky, if Ling Zhong was dead, then their authority in Lingjia would fall apart. Ling Han smiled and shook his head and said, "This old dog is my father. It is up to my father to solve him personally." But he removed a table leg and smashed it in his hand. The death penalty is exempt. Live sin can't escape. Hey, he waved his legs and pulled the face of Ling Zhongquan. He screamed loudly, and his mouth was wide and he spit out a blood with broken teeth. "Old dog, my father took the risk to take risks, but you took his hope. You said you should not smoke. You have a son and grandson, my father is not. You were stronger than me yesterday, and I was seriously wounded by my life. Is this an attitude that an elder should have? Since you don't want to be an elder, why should I give you a face and make you a generation?" Ling Han said that he would take a stick and a few sticks down. Ling Zhongquan was already a cloak, his face was full of blood, and his mouth was at least half. However, don't look at him as a miserable, but with the strong vitality of the military, as long as it is free from internal injuries, the heavy trauma can heal quickly, so Ling Han is also very cool, and there is no need to worry about losing the opponent. Ling Zhongquan is no longer snoring, and he secretly vows in his heart that after he has the strength to suppress Lingdongsing in the future, he must give this father and son alive. "I am tired of playing." Ling Han lost the stick, said, "Yu Tong, go out with me." "Rain, rain Tong." Lu Yutong immediately made a nap, which is called making her feel good. Alchemy Emperor of the Divine Tao Chapter 6, Celestial Court. Ling Han and Lu Yutong went out. Ling Muyun wanted to stop, but did not dare to shoot. Even Ling Zhongquan was defeated, who is the opponent in Lingjia. Unless Ling Dong is back. But even if Ling Dong comes back, which side will he help? This is not an obvious thing. The 5 maids were so wonderful that they saw a wonderful play, which was enough for them to blow for 3 years. Where? After the Lingjia, Lu Yutong asked Ling Han. "Tianyi Pavilion." Ling Han said casually. Lu Yutong sighed a bit. She thought that Ling Han was going to dispense medicine for herself. After all, she was a patient. The two went very fast, only after 10 minutes and they came to the place. Tianyao Pavilion is a big force. There are branches in every city in the Rain Country. As for the Rain Country, he is not clear about the experience of the predecessor. All in all, the medicines and medicinal herbs of Tianyao Pavilion are the most complete. If you can't buy them here, you can't buy them in other places. Ling Han walked into the medicine cabinet and came to a window sill. Sitting behind a young woman, she was quite beautiful. Seeing Ling Han came over, she immediately stood up. Ying smiled and said, "Too good, my name is Xiao Tao, I am honored to serve too." She looked at Lu Yutong's body more and more. After all, this woman is not pretty, and even she is a woman who can't open her eyes. Ling Han nodded and said, "I want purple lotus, blue fruit, centuries-old bamboo, red leaf potato, rotten leaves and dead roots." Xiao Tao's face is blank. She has been here for more than 2 years, but she has never heard of the names of these 5 herbs. She took a moment and said, "2 guests, I am really embarrassed. I have never heard of these 5 herbs. You should wait, I will help you to ask others." "Yes." Ling Han nodded. These 5 herbs are indeed very biased, because in addition to the use of Yuan Fu Ling San, rarely used in other places. Although the grade of Yuanxin Fuling San is not high, it is the original prescription of his past life. Although it was passed to several people, it is not necessarily passed down. After a while, I saw Xiao Tao and a middle-aged man in his 30s coming over together. "You are the messy guy." The middle-aged man glanced at Ling Han, his face was full of disdain. Ling Han brow wrinkled, said, "What is the messy guy? I am embarrassed to report some medicinal herbs that do not exist at all. Is this not intentional disorder?" The middle-aged man snarled, "I have seen your expression long ago. Ling Handao, how do you know that these herbs are my random reports? This is not nonsense, but I am a good master of the yellow class. I have never heard of these herbs. You are not reporting anything indiscriminately. Get out of the way." The middle-aged man waved his hand as if catch the fly like. His name is Ma Dajuan, and he is indeed a Huang class. There are other guests in the store. Listening to him saying this, they are all, oh, showing awe. Dan Shi is a very rare and noble profession. It is divided into 4 major levels: heaven, earth, mysterious and yellow. Each level can be subdivided into upper, middle and lower 3 grades, even if it is a yellow grade. The low-level Dan teachers are extremely popular and respectful, and are rushed by various forces. For example, Sanyan Town, there is only such a Dan teacher, working in the Tianyao Pavilion, usually do not use him to refine any medicinal herbs, just use to sit down. Therefore, Ma Dajuan naturally has enough pride to be emboldened. Even Ma Danshi said this kid must be confused. It's so funny, I actually went to the Tianyao Pavilion to go wild. Where is this fool? What about the crowd? Everyone is helping Ma Dajuan to speak. The Dan teacher is very noble, so the preference for nature is very obvious. Ling Han was a little angry and said, "You have not heard of it. It is because you are not good at learning. How can you arbitrarily think that others are upset? You are going to call the person who knows the most in your store. I will tell him. What do you dare to order me to do things?" Ma Dajuan also looked very unhappy. He personally came out to debunk. Why are you still entangled here? Besides, he is the person in charge of the Tianmao Pavilion here. Who else can learn more than him? Of course, the masters don't count, people just come over and play, and suddenly have inspiration, borrowing the Tianyi Pavilion here to refine Dan. Lu Yutong looked in his eyes, his mouth slightly rising, and he looked forward to it. This time she will not shoot. The Tianyao Pavilion is a huge monster. Even the Yugua royal family should be polite, not to mention that she is only a junior of the Lu family. It is absolutely impossible to accompany the cold. You are not quite capable, how do you bring your face back now? Although she promised to be a follower of Ling Han, and it was only temporary, but she would not be willing to be proud of her heart, at least not now. Therefore, she would like to see the appearance of Ling Han. The woman who is again on the iceberg is also revengeful. Not fast. Ma Dajuan smashed his hand and an impatient expression. You don't regret it? Ling Han said. How can you take me? Ma Dajuan could not help but the teenager actually dared to threaten himself. The other people in the store are also a look of jokes. Which boy is the spoiled young master? But even if the parents of the 2 giants in the city are like parents, how can they qualify with the Huang class Zhongping Dan? Ling Han just smiled and turned to look at Lu Yutong. Lu Yutong flashed a contempt in his heart, but also asked to shoot himself. But I listened to Ling Han Dao, give me a loud cry, Copper Valley sand is put more. Even shouting 3 times, the louder the better. What does it mean? Lu Yutong's eyes widened, but when he saw the expression of Ling Han's self-confidence, his heart trembled and could not help but shouted, the Copper Valley sand is put more. The Copper Valley sand is put more. The Copper Valley sand is put more. She is a gathering place, full of enthusiasm, and if she is a lion. You both have problems, please drive them out. Ma Dajuan said with anger, pointing to the 2 guards in the store. Hey! A loud noise, it seems that something has exploded. All Dan Shi can immediately conclude that this is a frying furnace, and every Dan teacher will encounter things. Hey! A series of footsteps sounded from the upstairs all the way down. Soon, an old man with a white head must have appeared from the stairway. A rush to the front of Lu Yutong, excitedly said, how do you know that there are more Copper Valley sands? The old man also had a terrible appearance after the frying furnace, the hair of the beard and the eyebrows were burned, and the old face was black in half, and the clothes were also ruined. Being stared at by such an old man with incomparably focused eyes, Lu Yutong's strangeness in his heart can be imagined. But what surprised her even more was a silver badge on the chest of the old man, which is the symbol of Dan Shi, and the silver represents Xian. 1 represents the next product. This old man is the subordinate of the class. Hey, this kind of existence even in the emperor is the guest of all major families, even if the owner of her Lu family sees each other, they must politely call each other a master. But now, this master actually looks at himself with a pug-like look, his face of curiosity. How can Lu Yutong not feel weird? She couldn't help but look at Ling Han. How many magical places does this boy have? Alchemy Emperor of the Divine Tao Chapter 7, Masters. Puff. Seeing this scene, everyone in the pharmacy was sprayed out. Even if someone doesn't know the Masters of the Woe, he can recognize him as the singer of the singer from the silver badge hanging on his chest. Xian grade. For ordinary people, this is an invaluable identity, comparable to the emperor's minister, even more noble than the owner of a city. But now the master is so exposed in a sentence, how can people not be surprised? And what caused this is a young man. How can it be? Many people are crazy, this is the fact that breaking their heads is unacceptable. Zhu Dajuan is even more stunned. The masters are the big men of the Yugua Tianyao division. So he usually can't see each other. He can only hear about the other party's deeds. Therefore, now that I can see the masters, can he not be surprised? Isn't this kid coming to trouble, and the drugs he said are true? Ling Han sniffed his nose and said, "You are also smart, and improved the formula of Feng Hui Dan, using Zibei Xiong Dan, Qian Si Teng, and black stone to replace the more precious materials. If the effect is not too bad, the cost is greatly reduced." Zhuhe violently turned around and looked at Ling Han with incomparably shocked eyes. He lost his voice. How do you know? This is his secret. He intends to announce it after success. Let a few old friends and old people. The opponent was shocked. Ling Han Shou Yen Yixiao said, "Of course it is smelled with the nose. Are you a monster? Just know it with your nose. To know that Dan Fong is a precious thing, which Dan teacher will not easily show people, just like the martial arts exercises." The problem is that Zhu Hexin did not fully research the improved Dan Fong's complete research, but Ling Han only analyzed it with his nose and smelled it, so that Zhu Hexin could not be shocked. You can't do this improvement, but the copper valley is too strong, and the melting point is too high. Even if it is finely ground, it will remain in the Dan, affecting the quality of Qing Dan. You replace the teeth of the flame leopard. Try it in Tonggu sand. Ling Han suggested that he had pointed out some people at that time, and later he became a master of Dan Dao. Zhu Hexin immediately calculated it in his mind, muttering, "The flame leopard is a fire attribute, just neutralizing the negative caused by the black stone, and when it reaches a certain high temperature, it will melt and volatilize, and will not exist in the drug. Meow, it's wonderful. Why didn't I think?" The old man was stunned and looked at the cold eyes. He immediately said, "Small friends, please go upstairs and tell the story. Let the old man be a good move. The reception is fake, he still wants to Ling put some more Dan Fong in the cold mouth. When he wants to come, Ling Han should be the descendant of the Dan Dao family." Ling Han smiled, but it was, no. Why not? Zhuhe was anxious, this kid is probably a Dan Fong Daquan who will walk. Someone told me to get out. Ling Han said deliberately, and said that he also looked at Zhu Dajuan. Qi Tong, Zhu Dajuan sat down on the ground, and at this time he really wanted to cry without tears. How could he think that Zhuhe's attitude towards Ling Han is this attitude? Knowing this before, he would treat Ling Han as an old man. What to do now, he could not help but look ugly. The other people in the store looked at their eyes and shook their heads in their hearts. Just as Zhu Dajuan was a little polite in words, his attitude should not be so aggressive, and now there is no way out. Take it by yourself. Zhu Hexin immediately turned his head and looked at the old face, showing a terrible anger. Can he not be angry? As a Dan teacher, his lifelong pursuit is to raise the standard of alchemy and get more Dan Fong. Now that there is a Dan Fong Daquan, can you actually call the other party to roll? Do you have a hatred with Lao Tzu? Scrapping things, he yelled. What is going on here, tell me. Ma Dajuan had a heart that wanted to die. Under the pressure of Zhuhe's heart, he did not dare not answer. He had to say what he had just said, but he did not distort the facts, but the words of insulting the cold naturally it is impossible to repeat the second time, he is not so stupid. Hello big prestige. Zhu Hexin immediately slammed up and beat Ma Dajuan to stop in the same place for 3 laps. The whole person was paralyzed. You haven't heard of it and thought it wasn't? Then I haven't heard of any more medicinal herbs. Is it necessary to pull out the roots? Tell you, these 5 medicines really exist on the ground. Purple lotus can be found in the Xinjiang Valley. Kelon fruit is found in a valley in Balian Mountain. In the 100 years, Zhu is born in the extreme sun. The red leaf potato is under the volcanic ash. The rotten leaves are rare and need to be decayed. It can only be found in the roots of old trees for more than 100 years. I am wrong. I am wrong. Ma Dajuan quickly apologized constantly, even Zhuhe said so, what other doubts? He reached out and smacked his own slap and said, I shouldn't be obsessed with it. It's my dog's eyes and people are low. Zhu Hexin looked at Ling Han again and said, small friend, I am really sorry, I am sorry. He suddenly saw a glimpse, because he thought that when he had not yet graduated from the division, he had heard Master say a recipe. It was a potion that repaired Ling Zhen, and there were a few herbs that Ling Han wanted to buy. Because his master was very emotional in the past, he said that although the deputy did not need to refine the medicinal herbs, the effect was wonderful. It was too long, only knowing the names of the main drugs, but the specific distribution was long gone. This is exactly the case, his print is very deep, and he suddenly remembered it. Is it true that Ling Han bought these herbs to prepare Yuan Xi and Fu Ling San? The heart of the old man can't help but jump wildly. If you can get this Danfang and burn it to the teacher under Jiuquan, I think his old man will be able to smile. Little friends, you have to buy these materials, is it for the preparation dash? Yuan Xi and Fu Ling San. Ling Han nodded, and did not conceal, said, my spiritual root was hurt. Puff. Ma Dajuan immediately squirted out, and the roots were damaged. It was a fatal wound for the warrior. As far as he knew, he could not cure it. Can listen to the meaning of Ling Han, this seems to be a piece of cake. Lu Yutong is also a beautiful woman. She is the noble woman of Lu family. Although she is not a Dan teacher, she knows many high-ranking medicinal herbs, such as Yuheng Dan, which can cure Ling Zhen. The problem is that Yuheng Dan is too precious to describe, that is, Lu wants to get a big price, and it does not have to be bought. Ling Han, how many secrets do you hide? She became more and more curious about Ling Han, and now even if Ling Han said that she should not be a follower, it is estimated that her curiosity will also let her stay. Alchemy Emperor of the Divine Tao Chapter 8, convinced. Little friends, please sit up. Zhuhe heart and courtesy, seemingly polite, did not dare to put the shelf of the Xian class, the old man can guarantee that 5 days, no, 3 days will be able to put friends the medicine you need is delivered. Good. Ling Han nodded. He was in the past, but he is still very weak. You may wish to make more friends and develop some relationships. As for the small person such as Ma Dajuan, it is enough to punish him. He can't make a general knowledge with the other party. Zhu Hexin was overjoyed and quickly led the way. He took Ling Han and Lu Yutong to the 3rd floor and entered an elegant study. Don't ask the little friend who is a tall man, ask the old man. There is no door, no school, self-study. Ling Han said that in a past life, he once visited the forces of the Major Dan Dao, merged and integrated, and eventually became a self-contained school, becoming the greatest Dan teacher in history. Zhuhe does not believe that Ling Han is so young, how could he have such a deep accomplishment on Dan Dao? However, he also appreciates Ling Han, and intends to introduce the other party into the Tianyao Pavilion. Ling Han calmly answered, he is the master of Dan Dao, the crown is ancient, who can talk with him on Dan Dao, the ratio is high and low. As he spoke, the initiative came to his hands, and from time to time, Zhuhe's heart was struggling to think hard, and the look on the old man's face became more and more respectful. No children, no one can be a teacher. Before the old man, he also had a small friend who put himself in a higher position, but he quickly changed his name, calling Ling Han Dan Yu, and finally the cold sweat on his forehead rolled down and could not help but stand up. Get up, standing in front of Ling Han to listen to the teachings, like a Dan Tong, just like when he first studied with the teacher. In his heart, Ling Han has stood at such a height. Even, he has a feeling, only theory and knowledge, Ling Han even far exceeds his master. Master, can I follow you and listen to your teachings? Zhu Hexin said something that made Lu Yutong almost scared to death, but if you think about it, it seems to be a natural matter. However, this must let the big family of the emperor know. I am afraid that one will kill Ling Han. This is a mysterious Dan teacher, although it is the next product, cannot be enough. Lu Yutong was shocked in his heart, and there was a little less resistance to the followers of Ling Han. You see, even Dan Dao masters like Zhu Hexin are asking to follow Ling Han. What dissatisfaction can she have? Ling Han shook his head and said, I don't have the idea of collecting people for the time being. To tell the truth, the moral talent of Zhuhe's heart is just average in his view. He received 3 apprentices that year. Which one is not amazing? Zhu Hexin only feels a pity, but also knows that Ling Han is abandoning his Dan Dao talent. He is not qualified to be his apprentice. He also thinks this is natural. Ling Han's accomplishment on Dan Dao is too deep, so that he can only if you want to be a disciple of the other side, it is indeed a luxury. Lu Yutong is awkward. Ling Han actually refused. Refused? That is the Xian level downstairs teacher. As long as Zhuhe's heart is willing to nod, it is the Yugua royal family will greet each other and even send a princess to marry. But Ling Han actually refused, and so much without thinking. This guy is really unintelligible. However, if you have something you don't understand, you can always come to Lingjia to find me. Ling Han said another. Thank you for the master, thank you master. Zhuhe's heart quickly and repeatedly smashed his hands, his face could not hide the joy of color. Lu Yutong secretly screams, if this scene is seen, it will be surprising that the eyes will fall out. Xian class Dan Shi, how noble is his status, but now he is a disciple in front of Ling Han, and even feels honored to be able to visit him. Well, then I will go first. Ling Han said. I send the master. Zhuhe hearted. Right, Yutong, you have money on it, first pay for the medicine. Ling Han turned to Lu Yutong. Lu Yutong now naturally knows that this medicine is bought by Lin Han, but not for her treatment. She could not help but lick her mouth. This guy will really make the best use of it. I just took myself as a follower and stared at it. Got her wallet. No, no. Zhuhe hearted his hands quickly. The Dan Dao knowledge he heard from Ling Han today can be said to be worthless. If you want to collect the money for the cold, master, let me talk about it. Ling Han thought for a moment and said, that's with you. Although he just pointed at the hearts of Zhuhe, he was the emperor of Dan Dao. This point is enough for the heart to be used for life. Zhu Hexin suddenly smiled and could do something for Ling Han. Even if it was just such a small matter, he was happy and even glorious. Then I will buy some yuan dan. Ling Han thought about it, and said again. Returning yuan dan, this kind of worthless thing, may be purchased by the master. Anyway, I can refine it at will, naturally it is a gift to the master. Zhuhe hearted and said. Lu Yutong once again screamed, and Hui Yuan Dan can quickly restore the military to force, is an indispensable auxiliary medicine in the battle, which is so simple. Although Ling Han only needs the lowest grade to return to Yuan Dan, one can have at least 3 or 2 silver. Zhu Hexin's shot is very generous, and directly gave 100 yuan back to Yuan Dan. If it is not a cold, it is only a refining environment. He can only take the next product back to Yuan Dan. He must send the product back to Yuan Dan. Accompanied by him, Ling Han and Lu Yutong went downstairs and went out. Where are you going now? After 2 people walked for a while, Lu Yutong couldn't help but ask. Ling Han smiled slightly and said, nature is going home, waiting for someone to send the medicine. Without a first cure, Lingen could not start practicing. Lu Yutong was curious and said, do you really understand alchemy? There should be no one in this world who knows better than me. Ling Han is not polite. Bragging. Lu Yutong snorted, although Ling Han will be convinced that Zhuhe heart will die, but Zhuhe's heart is only Xian level Dan teacher, there is a prefecture level, heaven level Dan teacher. Ling Han did not argue with her, his status has long been remembered by history. Why don't you promise to let the masters be with you? He is not only a Dan teacher, but he is also a strong man in the spring. Lu Yutong asked. Ling Han footed the next meal, turned her head and looked at her again, and went forward again. First, you are the spiritual root of the heavens. Now you are on the 8th floor of Juyuan. It is only a step away from breaking through the spring. Second, I don't need anyone to refine my medicine. Third, if someone must be with me, a beauty is certainly far more eye-catching than an old man. Lu Yutong can't help but be speechless, but this reason seems to make her a little sneak. Go home first, I have to teach you Sanin Xian Gong. Ling Han said. Lu Yutong suddenly felt a heartbeat, and his footsteps were a little faster. This inexplicable slumber has been plaguing her for too many years. The two returned to Lingjia and walked all the way. All the people showed their strange expressions. They had already heard about what happened in the morning. The deacon was actually slapped in the face of waste materials. This kind of thing is natural. Will be spread throughout the family for the first time. Ling Han was only seen, and Lu Yutong came to his room and began to teach Lu Yutong Sanin Xian Gong. You are not afraid of me to repent? Lu Yutong suddenly asked before Ling Han said the exercises. Will you? Ling Cold asked. Alchemy Emperor of the Divine Tao Chapter 9, Guiding Practice. If it is half a day before, Lu Yutong is really likely to cross the river to dismantle the bridge, first deceive the tricks, and then give Ling Han some compensation on the property, who let Ling Han ignore her noble wealth, and want to accept her as a follower. But now she is hesitant, the woman's restraint makes her want to leave Ling Han, but think of the endless stream of magic, she wants to stay in Ling Han, see where the limit of the other side. Maybe, maybe not, who is right? She gave an ambiguous answer. Ling Han laughed happily. If Lu Yutong vowed to say that he would be loyal to him in the future, he would not believe it. However, he is a strong man and a Dan Dao emperor. Can you still not accept such a small girl? Take off your clothes, he said casually. Lu Yutong suddenly showed the color of anger. Could it be that Ling Han wanted to teach her the practice and force her to dedicate herself? Although she does not want to die, she also wants to cure the disease, but when it comes to changing her body, she would rather die. Don't get me wrong. Ling Han smiled. I just want to guide you in the operation of Yuanli. When this method is running, Yuanli will go through many singular scriptures. It is absolutely impossible to say clearly in words. You should know that the practice of doing this kind of thing is a little bit worse, and there must be no mistakes. Lu Yutong can't help but sigh. Ling Han said that it is not empty, there are countless meridians in the body, and the route of Yuanli's operation is only slightly different, and the effect will be different. The problem is, she is the unmarried girl of Yunying. Can she take off the light and give a man a finger to travel all over the body? She considered it for a long time and proposed a compromise solution. She kept her underwear, and Ling Han could not use her fingers instead of chopsticks to guide Yuan Li's operation. You go out first. Lu Yutong pointed to the outside room. Hey, hello, this is my house. Ling Han smiled, but still got up and walked outside. This style is still there. After a while, I listened to Lu Yutong, you can come in. Ling Han walked into the house and saw Lu Yutong sitting on the bed. The body was covered with a sheet of quilt, and the hair was like a waterfall. It's a fascinating stunner. Ling Han said in his heart that even with his predecessor's critical eye, he has to admit the charm of this iceberg beauty, so that he is somewhat swaying. The white teeth of the white teeth bite the red lips, and the beautiful eyes flow, seemingly sorrowful. Lu Yutong slowly faded the sheets, showing a jade-like body. Her upper body has only one tube top, white skin is like a good jade, exudes a charming luster, and the lower body is a pair of pants, but the thighs are torn off from the thighs, revealing two slender straight lines. The more than one point is fat, one point is thin, it is perfect, it makes people feel excited. Seeing Ling Han's gaze sweeping, she could not help but be ashamed. The white jade-like face floated two blushes, adding a glamorous atmosphere. Hey, she is an iceberg beauty, now Hongxia is blowing her face, suddenly tempted her, and her style is eternal. Rao is the heart of the past and the world is full of some index finger moves, want to eat this charming little goblin. However, he immediately received his heart and said, sit on the knees, I will pass you the first heart of Sanin Xian Gong. He read it one word at a time, and Lu Yutong was still unable to enter the state. After all, she was almost naked with the man, but her martial arts heart quickly gained the upper hand, listening to the cold mouth and remembering it. Ling Han said very quickly, and Lu Yutong also showed an amazing talent, almost never forgetting. Ling Han only said 2 times, Lu Yutong has already remembered nearly 1,000 words of mouth. This is only the first step. Next, Yuanli's operation route is the key. Ling Han used chopsticks as a finger to gently sway on Lu Yutong's delicate body to guide the operation of the other party's strength. Once and twice, just 3 times, Lu Yutong can already run Yuanli according to this new method, and indeed does not bear the name of her genius. Ling Han quickly went out. The charm of this little goblin is not small, he seems to overestimate his perseverance, and if he stays, he is likely to take the opportunity to push down this moving stunner. Since Lu Yutong has begun to practice, she will certainly not wake up in a short period of time. Ling Han will sit down in the outer room and practice the same. However, he did not practice the 5 elements of heaven, but did not destroy the scriptures. Because his spiritual root has not been repaired, he does not want to take risks. If the roots are wounded, it is not that the Yuanqin Fuling San can be cured. The immortal movement of the scriptures seems to be a bottomless pit, quickly consuming the power that is not much in his body, quenching his muscles, meridians, bones, and marching in a stronger direction. If this is to be done to the extreme, the body will not be bad and immortal. It is a big star that collides and guarantees that the big star is broken, but he has nothing to do. Of course, he is too far away from this step. Just 5 minutes later, his body's strength was consumed. At this time, he swallowed a returning Yuandan, quickly supplemented the body's strength, and continued to practice. It is a 3-point drug. At the beginning, he can get the most effect, but as he eats more and more, his body also produces great resistance, making the effect of the drug worse and worse. By the end of the last Yuandan, even less than 1/10 of the Yuanli will be restored. Ling Han stopped, and today is the end, and there will be no effect after further cultivation. But his progress is very obvious. Muscles, meridians, and bones have become stronger. According to his estimation, this strength can be comparable to the 3 layers of the body. Do not know the name of the scriptures, cattle fork. Ling Han's past life has also practiced several restorative exercises, such as golden body and gemstone, which make the body stronger, but the effect is comparable to the immortality. The gap between the land. This is normal. If there is no such thing as immortality, how can it be necessary for a person of heaven and humanity to take tens of thousands of years to comprehend, and it is only the first priority. However, the practice of this Tianjing is really big for the consumption of Yuanli, and it also needs a lot of heaven and earth to help the quenching body, which will inevitably slow down my cultivation for the entrance. But the power of this Tianjing is too great. However, it is also a value to repair slowly. Anyway, I have a God-level spiritual root. The highest level of immortality does not want to be the first. The first weight of the immortality is divided into 4 realms, namely, the dead wood, the stone rock, the iron skin and the golden environment. Achieve the dead wood. If the body is dead wood, it will seem to hit the dead wood when it is hit, it will hurt the dead wood, but it will not hurt the vitality, and it can make the body disappear like a dead wood, and no one can see that it is a living person. In the case of King Kong, no matter how severely injured, it can be cured immediately after a thought, and the broken limb can be revived, just like a god. Okay. Ling Han turned to look at the door of the inner room, the curtain swayed, and came out with a fairy-like person, with a faint blush on the pretty face, pretty, charming, and ceremonial. You have mastered the first heavy work of Sanyin Xian Gong to the extreme? Ling Han said with some surprise. Yeah. Lu Yutong ordered a dagger. Some did not dare to touch Ling Han's gaze. The strange feelings were in the mind, as if there was some kind of unprecedented feeling that was growing and growing. This girl is really a genius. Ling Han said in his heart. Alchemy Emperor of the Divine Tao Chapter 10, Fixing the Root. Sanyin Xian Gong has a total of 9 weights, which correspond to the 9 realms of martial arts. The 9th is the heaven and the human world, which is the highest realm reached by Ling Han. In the practice of the world, there is no breakthrough in the 10th realm, that is, the part of the broken territory, which is why Ling Han has to travel all over the world to visit various monuments. The first heavy work method of Sanin Xianin corresponds to the refining environment. It is the stage that Lu Yutong has already passed. It is very easy for her to rehabilitate nature at this time. It is like a high school student doing homework in junior high school. The problem is that the restoration of the first heavy work method was completed in such a short period of time. This talent is too strong, right? But think about it again, Lu Yutong is a 3 negative pulse, Sanin Xian Gong was originally developed for such a person, and it is very normal. Ling Han nodded and said, then I will continue to pass on your second major practice. As long as you can repair the third major method to Deshang, you will be able to completely suppress the 3 yin and never be affected. The third is heavy, that is to say, it is only necessary to reach the spring. However, Lu Yutong is now the 8th floor of Juyuan, and has already sensed the opportunity to break through the 9th story, so it is only a step away from breaking through the spring. Lu Yutong couldn't help but be red-faced. Now he is teaching the second major practice. Isn't that, she has to take off again? Don't think about it. Ling Han scolded. Lu Yutong couldn't help but glance at him. How can she think about it? The two returned to the inner room. Just like now, Lu Yutong faded into the robe, so that the charming petite body was almost naked in front of Ling Han. As the old saying goes, once she is alive and second, she is still very shy, but she is much better than the first time. After Ling Han taught the second heavy work method, it was almost the evening. He asked the next person to send 2 dinners, and he ate a large part of himself, and then left Lu Yutong a little. Woman, appetite is small, a little half is enough. After about 3 hours, Lu Yutong walked out again, with a surprisingly incomprehensible tone, my current cultivation speed is 10 times that of the previous. This means that after she broke through the 9th floor of Juyuan, she probably only needed in less than 2 months, you can reach the peak state and then hit the spring. Too fast. Ling Han could not help but smile, said, Sanin Xian Gong is a heavenly skill. Heavenly power method. Lu Yutong almost fainted. What does the heavenly grade of merits mean? Let me put it this way, the reason why Lu Jia can become the top 8 giants of the emperor is because Lu has a copy of Yinxia, which is a metaphysical method. The royal family can sit firmly in the world, because the family has a 7 Tugong, which is the metaphysical work. That is to say, a sacred grade of merit can create a dynasty, and a metaphysical masterpiece can make a force become a reigning country, and the millennium is not bad. So, what is the significance of the heavenly power method? Precious is indescribable. If Ling Han said at the beginning that she would pass her heavenly exercises, she would definitely be treated as a neuropathy. No, if a small family in Sangyin town can take out the heavenly level of practice, can the world not be chaotic? But now, she has to believe because she has personal experience. This is a heavenly practice. You passed it on to me. She was trembled with an indescribable incitement. Ling Han smiled, this Sanin Xian Gong is indeed a heavenly practice, but it can only be cultivated by the 3 yin and the other is not useful. Others are not afraid of Lu Yutong passing it on to others. Besides, he has won the immortal scriptures, this is the supreme magic, even the first heavy work of comprehension takes tens of thousands of years, with this ratio, what is the level of practice, hey, not worth mentioning. Of course, he would not say that, you are my follower, I can never be stingy to myself. This is not a lie. He has always been short-sighted and more generous to himself. Lu Yutong couldn't help but be ashamed. She heard that the word self can have different meanings. After a while, she said, you can rest assured that this practice will not be passed on to anyone until you have your permission. With you. Ling Han said, anyway, for thousands of years, a 3 yellow yin can be produced, that is, who passed her may also be annihilated in a long history. For others, this is a yellow the level of the next product is not as good as the practice, who will save for thousands of years. Lu Yutong couldn't help but be disappointed. Just now she was frightened. If she was cold and sweet, she would definitely like her. She would definitely have a good feeling for Ling Han, but Ling Han did not play such an idea. She missed a wonderful opportunity. She went to the table and began to eat rice. She chewed slowly and said, from tomorrow, I will retreat to the 9th floor of Juyuan and I will not be able to follow you. Rest assured, I didn't plan to go there in the past 2 days. I waited for Zhuhe's heart to send the medicines. I will cure the roots first. Ling Han said, he cherished this second life very much. Now that Ling Zhen is wounded, he never wants to take risks and ruin the foundation of the martial arts. Lu Yutong did not waste time. After eating, he began to retreat to the Jiuyuan floor. Ling Han had to give her the back room and move the bed to the outhouse. Because there is Lu Yutong sitting in the town, Ling Zhongquan, the upper and lower generations, hated the bones in Ling Han, but they did not dare to move any brains. Ling Han is also a deep staying simple, quiet and so on to send medicine and Lu Yutong. Sure enough, Zhuhe's heart did not say anything. On the 4th day, he sent the medicine needed for Ling Han. Of course, the old man also took the opportunity to ask Ling Han for some advice. In fact, he always wanted to come over these days, but in his eyes, Ling Han is the supreme master level, and he is daring to harass. However, Ling Han can have no patience today, and he will soon send away the hearts of Zhuhe. He will immediately start dispensing medicine, repairing Lingen, and once again embark on the road of cultivation. For the cold, the medicine is naturally a piece of cake. After only 3 minutes, he will distribute the Yuanxin Fulling. In these 3 days, he is not idle, except for practicing the immortal, naturally. I have done all kinds of preparation work early. Pharmaceuticals are too bitter, hee. Ling Han sighed and sighed. Soon after, a heat hit, he suddenly felt the feeling of burning in the body, and the internal vision of Dan Tian, the root of the creation is slowly repairing, at most a small half a day will be good. During this time, he couldn't do anything, and he waited patiently. For a person who has been sleeping for tens of thousands of years, a half-day wait is naturally a little meaning. Slowly, in the icy Dantian, the 5 elements of chaos lotus are completely in full bloom, and the Tao is natural and wonderful.